How can an influential and exclusive business become more inclusive? Educator and disability advocate Sinéad Burke is on a mission to change the way fashion is represented in our world.
When this process first began, which was almost 2 years ago, it was for a need and an urgency for the National Museums of Scotland because they were doing this exhibition on the diversity of fashion.
Sinéad has achondroplasia, a form of dwarfism, and identifies as a little person.
I asked how they were going to exhibit my clothes. They said that they were going to hang them from the ceiling. I asked how everything else was going to be displayed, and they said, well, mannequins. So really, almost flippantly, I said, okay, well, how do we get a mannequin made?
How cool is that?
It's amazing.
I met with experts, executives, and advocates in London and Paris who want to see the gilded doors of the fashion business thrown open.
I certainly experienced tremendous racism. I didn't fit the very narrow profile of what was acceptable.
Together, we're going to explore not just the moral argument, but the business case for letting everyone in. What we wear says a lot about who we are. Yet fashion is also a $2.5 trillion global industry that touches everyone on Earth. I'm Imran Amed. I first started trying to make sense of the fashion business 15 years ago, as it was being transformed by technology, globalization, and shifting consumer values. Now I'm on a journey to see how fashion is recalibrating amid the pandemic, to balance profit with purpose. This is the Business of Fashion show. Join me to discover how fashion shapes business, culture, and identity, and to meet the people forging fashion's future. Since this is an episode about belonging, it's important to say a few things about my own identity up front. I am an Ismaili Muslim man of Indian origin, born in Canada to immigrants from East Africa. I was an outsider when I started sneaking into fashion shows in 2005. Back then, the front rows were a uniform, narrow representation of the world. Now, I am invited into elite fashion spaces where the front rows are changing. One stalwart is Edward Enninful, the first Black man to be appointed as the editor-in-chief of Condé Nast's British Vogue. At the Paris couture shows, I was also reunited with Samira Nasr, who became editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar, owned by fashion's other media giant, Hearst. After a long day of shows, we met to talk about everything that has happened since the beginning of the pandemic, including her rise to the very top of fashion media. Her premiere issue was poignant, examining the paradox of being first.
Your appointment in this role was not just a big change for you.
Yeah.
It represented a pretty significant shift for Harper's Bazaar.
Yeah.
For fashion media, the first woman of color ever in the history of Harper's Bazaar at the helm. What did it mean to you personally, but what do you think it also signified for all those young women from different backgrounds who never saw someone like you in a role like this?